I thought it was a court of silver and flames, but it's just a court of silver flames. Why would you mess up your own naming convention? What is this series called? I'm basic, what can I say? Can I just say that I need this book like yesterday? Hey y'all, my name is Merritt. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a super chill video and we're going to be talking about all the books that I'm excited for that are coming out in 2021. This is not a comprehensive list, but it does have about 15 books that I am the most excited for. A lot of them are continuations in series, a lot of them are by authors that I really like and they're releasing new works. So I am just so excited to talk about these books with you guys today, and without further ado, let's just talk about the January books. So first up in January is Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas, and I absolutely love The Hate You Give as well as On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. I think that Angie Thomas does a really beautiful job of writing about real life experiences and having empathy be drawn from the reader, and it's super tragic, all the stuff that she writes about and how it actually happens in our reality. It's so messed up, and I just know that Concrete Rose is going to be emotional and it's going to deliver on everything that The Hate You Give and On the Come Up gave. On the Come Up is one that I really adored. I listened to the audiobook and I was just absolutely enthralled by it. I did not do anything but listen to that audiobook when I was reading it. And also The Hate You Give is one that I read in high school that really impacted me, and it's one of my favorite young adult contemporaries that I've ever read. Concrete Rose is a follow-up to The Hate You Give, I suppose. It's actually a prequel, and I believe that it follows Star's dad. Now I'll just read you guys a quick summary that I got from Goodreads about this book. If there's one thing 17-year-old Maverick Carter knows, it's that a real man takes care of his family. As the son of a former gang legend, Mav does that the only way he knows how, dealing for the King Lords. With this money, he can help his mom, who works 2 jobs while his dad's in prison. Life's not perfect, but with a fly girlfriend and a cousin who's always has his back, Mav's got everything under control. Until that is, Maverick finds out that he's a father. So this book sounds amazing. I'm excited to read it and learn more about Maverick as a character, and so if you guys haven't read The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, I highly recommend going and reading that before Concrete Rose comes out. Next, I want to talk about February releases. So first, I have to talk about A Court of Silver Flames. Who would I be if I didn't talk about this? Everyone on BookTube loves ACOTAR. I swear that the internet is going to break with the release of A Court of Silver Flames. I'm also a little bit upset because the naming convention of the A Court of Thorns and Roses series was changed with A Court of Silver Flames, because where is the and? Where is it? I thought it was a court of silver and flames, but it's just a court of silver flames. Why would you mess up your own naming convention? I don't actually know. It bothers me. That's all I wanted to say. I actually don't know if I'm going to be reading this book when it first comes out. So this is the 4th book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series, so I'm not going to get too much into the summary. It follows a side character from the main trilogy, and I enjoyed the A Court of Thorns and Roses series when I was younger and read them in high school, but it's been a long time since I've reread the entire series. I'm really hoping that I can get to A Court of Silver Flames when it's released in February, because I know that it's going to be the peak hype. It is going to be a BookTube moment, but will I be there? Maybe not. I don't know if I'm going to be able to RSVP to the party because my brain does not remember anything that happened in the 2nd and 3rd books of ACOTAR. Next, I want to talk about The Project by Courtney Summers. This is a book written by an author that I really enjoy. I read Sadie by Courtney Summers earlier this year and I absolutely adored it. And so I'm excited to see what she comes up with The Project. She's an author that I definitely want to read more books by. I need to go through her backlist, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet. However, I am really excited for this new release and it sounds so good, so let me tell you guys what it's about. Lo Denham is used to being on her own. After her parents died, Lo's sister Bee joined the Unity Project, leaving Lo in the care of their great aunt. Thanks to its extensive charitable work and community outreach, the Unity Project has won the hearts and minds of most in the upstate New York region, but Lo knows there's more to the group than meets the eye. She spent the last 6 years of her life trying and failing to prove it. When a man shows up at the magazine Lo works for, claiming the Unity Project killed his son, Lo sees the perfect opportunity to expose the group and reunite with Bee once and for all. When her investigation puts her in the direct path of its leader, Lev Warren, and as Lo delves deeper into the project, the lives of its member, it upends everything she thought she knew about her sister, herself, cults, and the world around her, to the point she could no longer tell what's real or true. This book sounds so fantastic, especially when I read the summary, because it seems like there's sort of a mystery going on, there's lots of intrigue, and I just love reading about secret societies. I've gotten really into dark academia this year. Dark academia, I don't really know. I just love reading about secret societies, so I think that the project has a lot of potential for me to really enjoy it. Now moving on to March, I want to talk about Actor Age Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. I actually have read this book as an ARC, but I wanted to talk about it so that it is on your radar. This is the 3rd book in the Brown Sisters trilogy, so it follows 3 different sisters sisters and their journey to find love, and they're all just so cute and unique and wonderful in their own ways. But I think that Eve Brown is my favorite out of the 3 books, and let me tell you why. I loved all the main protagonists in the Brown Sisters trilogy, but Eve is just someone that I found myself identifying with. So if you like To Get a Life, Chloe Brown, or if you like Take a Hint, Danny Brown, I think that you're really going to love Eve Brown as well. I think her story is definitely the most fun and engaging that I have read. So let me tell you guys a little bit of what this book is about. Eve Brown is a certified hot mess. No matter how hard she strives to do right, her life always goes horribly wrong. So she's given up trying. But when her personal brand of chaos ruins an expensive wedding, her parents draw the line. It's time for Eve to grow up and prove herself, even though she's not entirely sure how. Jacob Wayne is in control. Always. The bed and breakfast owner is on a mission to dominate the hospitality industry, and he expects nothing less than perfection. So when a purple-haired tornado of a woman turns up out of the blue to interview for his open chef position, he tells her the brutal truth. Not a chance in hell. Then she hits him with her car, supposedly by accident. Yeah, right. Now his arm is broken, his B&B is understaffed, and the dangerously unpredictable Eve is fluttering around trying to help. Jacob hates everything about it, or rather he should. Sunny, chaotic Eve is his natural-born nemesis, but the longer these two enemies spend in close quarters, the more their animosity turns into something else. Reading that summary just brings joy to my heart because I remember how much I loved this book, and I loved reading about Eve and Jacob really getting to know each other and their banter. Oh my god, you guys, this book is incredible. If it's not on your TBR, go at it right now to your Goodreads shelf. It is so freaking good. The next book that comes out in March that I'm excited for is Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare, and this is also a sequel, so I don't want to get too much into it, but it is another book in the Shadowhunters universe. It's the follow-up to Chain of Gold, which is the second book in the Chain of Iron? What is it? What is this series called? This is the follow-up to Chain of Gold, which of course I loved because I love every single Shadowhunters book. I'm basic, what can I say? But I really did enjoy Chain of Gold. I think it's Cassandra Clare's best work from a writing standpoint, and I just can't wait to see how these characters progress in the second book. Next, we can move on to April releases. So first and foremost, I want to talk about Kate in Waiting by Becky Albertalli, and this might surprise people that this is on my most anticipated 2021 releases list, and I feel like I don't talk about Becky Albertalli's books very often on my channel, but I read them in high school and I absolutely adored them. Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda is a book that I really loved as a high schooler, and so I want to read everything she releases because I feel like her books will always have a special place in my heart. I really love her characters and their humor and their stories. I just think that she writes very relatable but quirky books about teenagers, and I just can't wait to read all of them. So here's a little bit of a summary about what Kate in Waiting is about. Contrary to popular belief, best friends Kate Garfield and Anderson Walker are not codependent. Carpooling to and from theater rehearsals, environmentally sound and efficient. Consulting each other on every single life decision, basic good judgment. Pining for the same guys from afar, shared crushes are more fun anyways. But when Kate and Andy's latest long-distance crush shows up at their school, everything goes off script. Matt Olson is talented and sweet, and Kate likes him. She really likes him. The only problem? So does Anderson. So this doesn't necessarily sound like a book that I will love based on the summary alone. I don't typically love books about theater, but I have in the past loved books that have theater elements to it. So I think that this is a book that I have potential to really like. I think that the plotline sounds super cute. I'm excited to see how Kate and Anderson deal with their conflict, and I'm just excited to read anything that Becky Albertalli writes because I'm sure that it's going to sweep me off my feet. Next is another sequel, and this is going to be The Serpent's Curse. This is the third book in the Last Magician series, so I'm not going to go too much into it, but can I just say that I need this book like yesterday. It was supposed to come out this year originally, and Goodreads sent me an email and they said new releases on your shelf that have just come out, and The Serpent's Curse was on it, and I got so much false hope because I thought that this book was out in the world. I thought that I could read it, but no, it's coming out next year in April still, and I was just heartbroken that Goodreads did me like that. That's a whole other tangent, but I love the Last Magician series. I think that The Last Magician and The Devil's Thief are both fantastic, and I'm so excited to see where the story continues in the third book. I don't want to go too much into it, like I said, because it's the third book in a series. You don't want to get spoiled, but I will say, if you like historical fiction and urban fantasy, I think that you're going to love The Last Magician. How I like to market it as is Six of Crows meets Avengers Infinity War. So if that interests you, definitely check out this series. Next, I want to talk about May book releases. So first is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I know nothing about this once again, so I'm gonna read you guys a Goodreads summary. Malibu, August 1983. It's the day of Nina Riva's annual end of summer party, and the anticipation is at a fever pitch. Everyone wants to be around the famous Rivas. Nina, the talented surfer and supermodel, brothers Jay and Hud, one a champion surfer, the other a renowned photographer, and their adored baby sister, Kit. Together, the siblings are a source of fascination in Malibu and the world over, especially as the offspring of the legendary singer Mick Riva. The only person not looking forward to the party of the year is Nina herself, who never wanted to be the center of attention, and who has just been very publicly abandoned by her pro tennis player husband. Oh, and maybe HUD, because it is long past time to confess something to the brother from whom he's been inseparable from since birth. Jay, on the other hand, is counting the minutes until nightfall, when the girl he can't stop thinking about promised she'll be there, and Kit has a couple secrets of her own, including a guest she invited without consulting everyone. By midnight, the party will be completely out of control. By morning, the Reva mansion will have gone up in flames, but before that first spark in the early hours before dawn, the alcohol will flow, the music will play, and the loves and secrets that shaped the family's generations will all come bubbling to the surface. I am really interested in this book. This has something that I think Taylor Jenkins Reid does very well, which is famous people, because Daisy Jones and the Six and Evelyn Hugo both follow celebrities, so I think that this book is going to be fantastic. It kind of sounds like a blend between Daisy Jones and the Six and Little Fires Everywhere, maybe? I'm interested. Next, we have June releases. So first up is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston, and this is a book that I am excited for, but I'm a little bit apprehensive about because I did not love Red, White, and Royal Blue. Unpopular opinion, I gave it 3 stars. I thought it was okay. There were a lot of really great elements, but I just really didn't like the dialogue. And this is Casey McQuiston's second work, and I'm just very nervous that they're going to have similar dialogue in this book that I'm not really going to like, but the premise of this book sounds really interesting. Here's what it's about. A 23-year-old realizes her subway crush is displaced from 1970s Brooklyn, and she must do everything in her power to help her and try not to fall in love with the girl lost in time before it's too late. So super brief summary, but it's about a sapphic love story and it involves time travel, and it just sounds really, really cute. The setting looks really cute. The cover is cute, and I'm just so freaking stoked for this book because I want to know if I'm gonna like it, if I'm gonna love it. I'm really hopeful for this because I've heard a lot of really glowing reviews already about it, and I'm sure that it's going to be great. Next, I'm super excited for When the Night Breaks by Janella Angelis. This is the sequel to Where Dreams Descend, which is one of my top YA fantasy books that I've read all year. I gave it 5 stars, absolutely loved it. So needless to say, I am stoked for the sequel. I think that this book will be absolutely incredible. The first book kind of ends on a cliffhanger, and this is going to be a duology, so this is going to be the last and final book. The cover is beautiful. All that blue is absolutely gorgeous, and I am just so excited to read this. If you want to know a little bit about Where Dreams Descend, if you're interested in picking it up, it's essentially a Phantom of the Opera retelling. I've never actually seen or read Phantom of the Opera, but I loved this book because it was just so whimsical and magical, and I loved the setting and learning about our main characters, and just seeing everything progress. Super stunning, stellar, would highly recommend. And I'm also obviously excited for The Box in the Woods by Maureen Johnson. This is the 4th book in the Truly Devious series, and it's sort of, I think, a standalone. So the first 3 books are all together in the series, and I think that this one is a companion novel, and I'm just so excited for it. I don't want to say what it's about again because it is the 4th in the series, but I'm sure that this book is going to follow Stevie, who is the main character in Truly Devious, and she kind of plays this detective role, and I'm sure that in this follow-up book she is going to be doing something similar and trying to figure out a mystery. Next, we have July releases, so I want to talk about Survive the Night by Riley Sager. I think that this one is probably my most anticipated release because it's not a sequel, and I feel like sometimes sequels can be disappointing, but I love Riley Sager. I never thought that I would say that, but Home Before Dark and The Last Time I Lied blew my mind. I think that he is definitely my favorite thriller author, but I am really nervous because I don't think that he's the most consistent author because I really disliked Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. I thought it was very average. I didn't really get what the hype was about. Once I read his other 2 books though, I definitely understood why people loved this man. And I do need to read Final Girls to complete his backlist, but I am so excited for Survive the Night because it sounds incredible, and also the cover is gorgeous. I love his books, and I think that this one is going to just be so captivating. I'm gonna want to read it in one sitting like I have his other books, and I'm just gonna have to keep flipping the pages to know what happens. So this one says, it's November 1991. George H.W. Bush is in the White House. Nirvana's in the tape deck, and movies-obsessed college student Charlie Jordan is in the car with a man who might be a serial killer. Josh Baxter, the man behind the wheel, is a virtual stranger to Charlie. They met at the campus ride board, each looking to share the long drive home to Ohio. Both have good reasons for wanting to get away. For Charlie, it's guilt and grief over the murder of her best friend, who became the 3rd victim of the man known as the campus killer. For Josh, it's to help care for his sick father, or so he says. Like the Hitchcock heroine she's named after, Charlie has her doubts. There's something suspicious about Josh, from the holes in his story about his father to how he doesn't seem to want Charlie to see the inside of his car's trunk. As they travel on empty highway in the dead of night, an increasingly worried Charlie begins to think she's sharing a car with the campus killer. Sounds incredible. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for this one. The next 3 books that I want to talk about really quickly are books that don't have a specific release date. I believe the first one that I just want to briefly mention is the sequel to Crescent City. I think this one comes out in November, but I think it's a very tentative release date. I don't know anything about this, but this is another Sarah J. Maas book, and I'm sure it's going to be huge. The first book was like 800 pages or something crazy like that. Crescent City is an urban adult fantasy, and it follows a girl named Bryce, and I don't really want to give you guys a summary of this book, and I don't think that you guys should look up a summary of this book because I think that it really ruins half of the book. Like, I don't know why they gave this book summary for Crescent City because it ruins like so much of the intrigue that I had when I first read it, and I was so glad that I didn't know what the book summary was. So if you're interested in this one, I would definitely go in blind. Then I have to talk about Those Who Run Towards Fire, and this is the 3rd book in the Beartown series. It's no surprise to anyone that I love Beartown. Beartown is one of my absolute favorite books of all time, possibly my favorite book of all time, and I owe so much to it. And Beartown follows a small town culture in this town called Beartown who is very obsessed with their hockey team, and then one day one of the hockey team players does an action against the hockey team's coach's daughter, and chaos ensues and the town is divided, and it's just such an interesting discussion of certain topics that I don't want to get into because I feel like it does spoil the book, but it is just so interesting and so good and heart-wrenching and makes you furious, and I highly recommend checking out Beartown if you haven't yet. Do look up trigger warnings though for that book if you need them beforehand, but needless to say, I am stoked for this 3rd book. Lastly is Legendborn number 2. There's not a title, there's not a release date, but I loved Legendborn. It's a King Arthur inspired young adult fantasy series that just got started, and I loved Legendborn. It is one of my favorite books of the year as well, definitely up there in the YA fantasy field, and I love this book. I cannot wait for the sequel and to see where the story goes because that ending was a lot. So those are some of my 2021 anticipated releases. Let me know in the comments below what you guys are excited about in 2021. What books are you looking forward to the most? Are any of the books that I'm excited about the same ones you are? And before you guys go, don't forget to like this video if you liked it. It really would help my channel. Also subscribe to my channel down below and turn on post notifications. I post book related content twice a week. And I also have my Instagram, Twitter, and my Amazon wishlist all linked in the description below if you want to check those out. And without further ado, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!